Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to an episode of the Geeks and Greeks podcast. As always, we are excited to be here. We got the Birds out in Philadelphia.
What
We got
up?
the Garman up in Indy.
Howdy.
What's going on, guys?
Man, this week has gone by so quick for me. It's been really kind of nice. And it's also weird because this is like the last week before I start my next class. So my class starts up on me on Monday, and it'll be interesting for it to say the least because I'm now working with statics and material strength, like almost down to the molecular level now at this point.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, what is statics? I actually started reading the book a little bit beforehand, and apparently statics is the way force works on a certain material.
Nice.
So, like, so actual like engineering stuff now. Got it.
There you go. Crossing over into big boy territory.
Yeah, I know. It's only a 2,000 level class. It's not even up there yet. This is still an undergraduate level class, or not undergraduate, sophomore level class.
Yeah. Nice.
What about you guys?
Oh, I have been insanely busy with everything, dude. Like kids back in school, single fatherhood. It's just insane. I feel like I am running around with a chicken with my head cut off 24/7, dude. It's nuts. And it's like the kids are at their mother's this week, and it is so nice to have a break. And I feel like it makes me feel so terrible. And like by the end of the week, I'm like dying to have my kids back. But even now on Wednesday, I'm still like, it's so nice to have a quiet house that no one's around, and like I can think.
Does it feel weird to have a quiet house?
It does. It does feel real weird. That's for sure. And yeah.
Just leaves lots of time for video games, right? And football.
I pretty much watch nothing but football and wrestling and don't do anything else. I don't have time for anything else with those two. It's like Sundays are dedicated to football and every other day of the week is wrestling.
What, no Phillies action? You're not watching the Phillies?
I'm
just raving about them being in the playoffs and having to bye for the wild card and doing so well.
I know. Well, no, they didn't have to bye. They're for the wild card because they're playing in the NLDS right now. Yeah.
Yep. And losing.
Yeah. So I did watch one game, or at least the first half of it, and it was the game they won. Which was cool, but unfortunately I don't have cable, so like I don't get Phillies games, and it's like,
oh, that's right, because MLB has a stupid blackout thing.
Yeah, you can't get the MLB network and watch your hometown team, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And I actually went and got their 2-week free trial a few years ago, not knowing that rule. I was like, damn it, what was even the point of this? I was actually going to pay for it. But, yeah.
And that being said, I have some bad news for you, Pete.
What's that?
Phillies Mets just wrapped up, and the Mets won 4-1.
Well,
so the Mets lead the series 3-1.
3-1.
They won the series. That's over.
Yeah, that's over.
Oh, I thought it was 7.
Wait. NLDS is best of 5.
Yeah.
So Philly's out.
Okay, I thought they changed the rule this year that it was 7 on both the. Oh, okay then.
No, DS is still best of 5. The NLCS is the best of 7, same as the World Series. And the wild card's like a best of 3.
Yeah, I know wild card's best of 3.
Well, because when they first brought the wild card in, it was a 1-game elimination. Right. That's it. And then they changed it a couple years later to best of 3. So, which I honestly don't mind. I like the 3-5-7. Honestly, I like that.
Yeah, that's not a bad cadence for it. I struggle so hard to pay attention to baseball once football exists, and it's like by the time I was like, oh, I'm going to tune in, it was like, yeah, the Phillies are probably not going to win the DS, so just going to watch them lose. I don't want to be that guy that just tuned in to watch them lose. So
it's also one of those things too. I think that, at least for me, like baseball is so long. I tune in a lot for like the beginning of the season and then now at the end of the season, and that's about it. Like from like May until like September or August, I don't pay that much attention. It's too much.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how those guys play every single day.
Sometimes twice in one day.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough baseball. They have to play it twice in one day sometimes.
You are right. They have canceled out Game 5 of the series. It is Mets moving on.
And the Mets were like, I think at the start of September, the Mets were like 9 or 10 games back from the wild card. Like it was bad. Like they were bad for a lot of the season.
Yeah.
And then just like surged out of nowhere at the end.
Baseball feels like it's always like that. It gets so streaky with the wins. And I mean, it could be a good thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things I feel like that with baseball, very rarely does the best team actually win the World Series.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
whatever team is hot at that point.
And oddly, I think that like it comes down to the series style. Like as much as the series style is designed to be like, oh, any team can have one bad day, and so the best team's going to win a series. Like I don't necessarily know that's true all the time because like you show up and you put up your best game once, and like you beat that team and you move on, and you show up and you put up your best game against the next team rather than having to repetitively play the same team. They learn your punches. They learn how to counter them. You know, it's like, I think that might be why you see not necessarily the best team in the league winning the series every year. Yeah. But
I mean, because if that was the case, the Dodgers would have won like 4 out of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, because they really have had the best team in baseball for a while now. And they never win the World Series. It's great. They're facing a little elimination later. Like I think they play the Padres at like 9 or something like that tonight. And yeah, Padres up 2-1, and it's in San Diego.
Ew, the Padres are going to go through and we're not. That sucks.
We don't know yet. Maybe.
Padres are going through. They have the Dodgers where they like. It's been a real fun series between San Diego and LA. That's been a real fun series to watch.
I have hope that Ohtani can pull this out.
If he wasn't playing for the Dodgers, I'd root for him more. I just don't like the Dodgers. It's the West Coast Yankees, man. They just buy all their own. Like it's like they just stack the team and then they still lose. It's like the Yankees. Yeah. They stack their teams and they still lose.
You know, I would put up an argument for that, but that's how Ohtani got on the team. So
yeah. I mean, they were smart in the way they structured his contract, and like I kind of get why he went to the Dodgers, but like I don't want the Dodgers to win, so it's hard to root for Ohtani. And plus, Fort Wayne is the single A affiliate for the San Diego Padres, so kind of by de facto, Padres are our team, man.
There you go.
Tatis played in Fort Wayne. When he was playing in Fort Wayne, we won the championship that year. He was 17.
So championship. I was just saying, is that the Tin Caps?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he got called up to Double-A like right towards the end of the season, but like we ended up winning the championship that year with him playing most of the season. Dude was a monster in Triple-A, in Single A at 17. Just an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And I love watching him play. I would get a jersey if I didn't hate the brown jerseys they wear. Those jerseys. Like, those jerseys are some of the worst in baseball. I absolutely hate them.
They don't have like an alternate style jersey you can get?
They have a city jersey that I do actually like. It's like a neon, like it's white with like neon like green and pink and like accents and stuff like that in sleeves. it's a pretty neat jersey. I would think about getting that one, but like their standard home is white with like brown pinstripes and yellow lettering, and then their other one is like just solid brown.
For half a second, I thought you were talking about the Tin Caps jerseys. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, the Padres.
Yeah.
It's the funny thing is I also thought you were talking about the Tin Caps. It makes a lot more sense now that I realize you're talking about the Padres.
Sorry, Padres. No, Tin Caps is green and red.
Oh, okay. Green and white, yeah.
The Tin Caps have some pretty cool jerseys, actually.
Yeah, they do.
Those Padres ones, the way you describe them, make them sound like a fast food restaurant uniform.
They kind of look like it sometimes.
Yeah,
they do. Like, especially their away jerseys, because most of the time for the away jerseys, you got like the gray pants, but they still have some brown pinstriping to them. And then they wear a solid brown jersey up on top. I feel like I'm working at like Hardee's or something. Or Shibs and Pitt or something like that.
Put a big old Carl's Jr. star on the back of that jersey.
Yeah, basically. Might as well.
All right, gentlemen. Let's move on to QB Survivor.
That's right. Let's talk about a real sport.
Now we're moving on to why we're all actually here.
Right.
Baseball talk.
All right, let's start off with Adam. Who are you putting in for immunity?
So, I actually had some. It was actually kind of hard for me to find some immunity ones this year because
it was.
Most of the guys I looked at didn't have terrible weeks, or they may not have been great. They weren't like god awful, where I think they should maybe get a second chance. But this week, I'm going to go and save Matt Stafford.
Okay.
So, not a great week. He had 260 yards with a 64% completion rate, 1 touchdown to 1 interception, but only a 47 QBR. Just not a great week for him. They played and they just fell apart at the end of the game. I don't know. It's one of those where I feel like he's better. He's also missing some receivers and some offensive weapons too. So I kind of want to give him another chance.
Okay.
Right. Pete, who are you giving immunity to?
All right. So I am going to give immunity to Josh Allen. He had an awful game. He had 131 yards and 1 TD, but no interceptions, which I do want to point out. I think he's only had 1, maybe 2 on the year. He's having an okay year. He's on a 2-game losing streak. He had a terrible game. I get it, but I think he deserves a little bit more time to cook, I'd say.
He was totally on my elimination.
Perfect.
Pete, you stole my number 1 immunity pick.
Oh, there we go.
I was absolutely going to save Josh Allen. 30% completion rate for 131. You're better than that, Josh. Come on, man.
It's true.
But for my second pick was easily the second worst performance for a top-tier quarterback. And losing when I really needed you to win this week, man. You lost to the damn Cardinals. Brock Purdy. How could you do me dirty?
Oh, fuck. You eliminate him so bad.
I am not joking. When I put his name on my list, I was like, I have been waiting for this day. I can finally put Brock Purdy on my list of guys to eliminate.
I was ready for it, man.
This would have been the 100%
ready for it. Him and Allen both, man. My 1-2. Both of them. I was so happy when I can put both of them on the list in the same week.
Okay, so my 1, 3, and 4 for elimination are still standing. Good.
So what's your number 1, Tom?
My number 1 is the prima donna in green. I really had high hopes for Aaron Rodgers, but I'm sorry, you gotta go.
Yeah.
For 53% completion rating, 244 yards, 3 interceptions, 2 in the first quarter. Dude!
Yeah, I think it's time for him to hang up the cleats, to be honest with you. He was my number one on my elimination list too. So
since I stole your number 1, Pete, who is your number 2?
My number 2 was Matthew Stafford.
Number 3 then?
My number 3 was Brock Purdy. So I guess I'm going to my number 4 with Dak Prescott.
Ooh.
Wow.
He has been having an up and down year, I think. He manages to fix the game by the end of it, but he digs himself into a hole. And I don't think he's going to last. And I'm glad I put 4 guys on my list. So I'm going with Prescott.
All right. And Adam, who are you throwing up for elimination?
So this is going to be weird, but my pick for elimination is going to be Geno Smith.
Not weird at all. He was my number 3.
Honestly, I was debating between him and Pat Mahomes because Pat had a not Pat Mahomes week, and he actually got away with one with not getting up for elimination last week because he had an even worse week last week, and I missed it, to be honest with you. But,
yeah. His team's making up for him, though. I mean, he had like 320 yards, but no TDs.
Yeah, that's what made it hard. Like I was debating between Geno Smith and Mahomes because Mahomes had 331, 72% completion, but he had no touchdowns to 1 interception. But he had a total QBR of 70.7. Like it's hard to put that up for elimination, but like this season just feels off for him. Like right now he's sitting at 6 interceptions and 6 touchdowns on the year. He's at like 1,200 yards maybe for passing. Like this just isn't a Pat Mahomes year. It's just weird, and I don't know, but I'm going to make the case more for Geno, though. I mean, just didn't quite do it as well. Seattle's, I mean, this week, again, just kind of an off week, but I don't know. It was tough between those two. It really was tough between those two looking at them. So.
All right, Adam. Yeah. Who are you voting for? Are you going Rodgers or
Aaron
Prescott?
Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers by far had the worst week over Dak. Like, I get why Dak was put up. He's been up and down, but Aaron Rodgers was my number 1, and you took my number 1, so.
Same exact response. You took my number 1 guy. I mean, I don't know how you don't vote for Aaron Rodgers at this point. Oh, I think the only reason he's limped along this far is reputation, other people getting injured, and Hurts having a terrible year. That's it.
That and
we talked about Seattle, living off their infamy. All the Packers do is live off their infamy.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, how long did Jordy Nelson stick around? How long did Randall Cobb stick around? How long is, all these receivers that Rodgers has played for stuck around because they were good with Rodgers, and yet when they go anywhere else, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Same as Rodgers.
Yep.
It's the Green Bay effect.
Yeah, I would argue, but I can only remember 2 quarterbacks in my lifetime for Green Bay, and both of them did it.
I mean, it does say something about Green Bay that, they have quarterbacks that stick around for a long time and play well and are some of the best in the league. But, I mean, a lot of the other players, when they leave Green Bay, they're just not very good. It's reputation.
Yeah.
All right. With 3 already on Aaron Rodgers, my vote doesn't matter. So here we go. All right. That brings us to NFL winners and losers. Now, to recap for Week 5, Adam, you had Indianapolis over Jacksonville. Unfortunately, Jacksonville miraculously came out with a 37-34 win over Indy.
That was a lot closer, and they all scored a lot more than I thought they were going to. I was not expecting a 37-34 game.
I didn't. Yeah, I don't even have words for Flacco right now. Pete, you had Seattle over the New York Giants. Unfortunately, Seattle lost to New York 29-20.
Yeah, what the crap is this, man? Eagles are on the bye, and all 3 of the other NFC East teams win? Like, what the hell?
It's like, isn't Philly the bottom of the division now?
No, it's still New York, thank God.
Okay. I was gonna say I hope not, but I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And then I had the softball. Miami will win over New England. Duh. Miami wins it 15-10.
You nail biter there, though.
That's not really a softball win, though.
Yeah.
Still barely
It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be an easy slam dunk. What happened? Well, I know what happened. I still have it in my head that Tua is
still out and they don't have a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Moving on to the losses. Adam, you had Buffalo losing to Houston. I don't know how you pulled that out of your backside, but yeah, Buffalo loses to the Texans 23-20, points scored.
You know what? At this point in the season, if I could redo the playoff picks, I'd have Houston winning the Super Bowl right now. They honestly look like the best team in the NFL on both sides of the ball.
Man.
Yeah. Pete, you had New Orleans losing to Kansas City. Yeah, that was kind of a given. Well, not as much of a given as I thought, but still good game, 26-13. And then you come to mine, Arizona losing to San Francisco. Why did that not happen? 24-23.
Brock Purdy got found out, man. I'm telling you. He's a fraud.
Brock Purdy wasn't looking so purdy. All right. All right. So after 5 weeks, the score stands at Adam 4 points. Pete and I are tied at 2.
Woo!
I had 4 points last week.
Nope, you had 3. Now you have 4.
Okay.
Week 6 predictions. What you guys thinking?
I'm gonna let you guys know right now. I picked some of the most homer picks I could have possibly picked this week. So, you guys you want to go first, or you want to take a guess who I picked to win?
I'm guessing you picked Philadelphia to beat Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely beat Philadelphia to Cleveland. They're 9.5-point favorites. How do you not pick Philadelphia to beat Cleveland? This might be the only game you can ever pick Philly to win. Trust me, they're awful this year.
Well, plus 2, I think, haven't they won coming off a bye for the last 5 or 6 years, something like that?
I mean, I don't know about the Chip Kelly era, but I know that Peterson was really good coming off the bye. Reed was really good coming off the bye. And I think Sirianni is good coming off the bye, but I don't really remember his record that closely.
They said they're usually a pretty good team coming off the bye. So, yeah, I'd pick that too.
And plus you're at Philly, so shoot.
Right. And it's the Browns.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
And they've got something to prove. You know.
Yeah, we don't need a quarterback to win games.
The rest of the NFC East can win. We can win too.
Right. We can do it. I swear. We'll keep in pace. We're keeping pace.
All right, Adam, who is your Week 6 win?
So my Week 6 win, I'm really hoping is going to be an easy win, and I've got the Chargers beating the Broncos. So, like, I know the Broncos have beat like the Jets and they beat a couple other teams recently, but the Chargers are better. Like the Chargers really are a pretty good team, and I'm really hoping that this is going to be a fairly easy win for the Chargers this week. So,
yeah,
Chargers to win over Denver, Week 6. I am starting to second guess my choice because Pete made an amazing case for Philly. But I have the Falcons winning over Carolina.
yeah, that should be right.
That's what I thought about San Francisco. Look how that turned out.
Yeah.
I mean, ESPN's got them at 6-point favorites.
It's one of those things, though, where like at least with with Arizona, they have some weapons on offense to put up points. Carolina does not.
Right.
Like I know the first week Andy Dalton started, he put up like 350 yards and like 2 or 3 touchdowns and looked like Andy Dalton from like 2015, but it's not going to happen every week.
No.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the losing games. Adam, who is your loss of Week 6?
So I love that Pete chose Philly to win because I chose Cleveland Browns to lose.
We have
I was looking at like the teams I hadn't chosen yet for wins and losses, and I'm like, how have I not picked Cleveland to lose yet? And I'm looking at their play, I'm like, oh, they're playing Philly. Philly has to win this game, right? I gotta pick this one.
They gotta.
I'm pretty sure if they lose to the Browns, they might burn down Lincoln Financial Field.
I
wouldn't be shocked, to be honest with you.
You can't tell me you couldn't see it happening.
No, I can imagine it quite clearly.
There's going to be riots in the streets if Cleveland pulls off a victory.
All right, Pete, who's your Week 6 loss?
So, like I said, pretty much as homer as I could possibly pick, and I am picking the Commanders to lose to the Baltimore Ravens. The way the Commanders are playing this year, this is probably one of the only times you can pick them. I think the Ravens are a better team. The Ravens are home. I mean, we'll see. It'll be a close one. I mean, ESPN has Baltimore at 6.5, and it's like that's insane. It's going to be much closer than 6.5. But
I mean, I'd say probably 4.5.
Yeah, I could see 4.5.
See,
I would not take a 6.5 spread on that.
See, when I was going through the list of games, this was one of the first ones I crossed off because Washington with that rookie quarterback is just blowing my mind, and then going up against Baltimore, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think Baltimore's got it.
All right.
Gotta take chances, man. You can't play the safe bet every time.
Mm-hmm.
You can try. Get you to about week 12 and then you run out, but... All right. Pete, did you want to start us off on refs and officiating?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, I was watching... honestly, it was a commercial for something. I don't remember. It's a commercial, and it's about this referee that's just getting like ridiculously booed off the field, and like he's just really sad, and he like goes home and he like pets his dog, and his dog makes him happy, and like that's the whole premise of the commercial. Mm-hmm. And my whole problem with referees, and like there's that, and then there's other things in the media, like when Brady was both trying to own a football team and be a commentator, and they were saying like league roles were going to make it that he can't speak badly about refereeing. So how is he going to broadcast if he owns a team. Stuff like that were in the news. So this just kind of been in my head a lot. And the biggest problem, I think, in football is refereeing. I don't know about other sports, but you almost always have a play in every game that the referee just completely misses a call or calls completely wrong. There was a game either last week or the week before where they called face mask on the wrong team and gave a 15-yard penalty. I think it was the Eagles game. Maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember which game it was, but it was like they called face mask on the wrong team and the penalty stood as called because there's nothing you can do about it. And I think my argument here is that I think penalties and the lack thereof penalties needs to be a reviewable thing. Because if the referee blows a call like that, it completely changes the game. And we're completely at the whim of a human. And to say that a referee is infallible is obviously stupid, so we shouldn't be expecting them to be, right? We should expect them to blow calls, and therefore we should be able to challenge it. And I think literally everything from where the ball is being spotted to if there was a hold on a specific play should be a challengeable offense. And not only that, but I also think you should have unlimited challenges until you lose one. Because if the referees are bad enough that you can win 5 challenges and they blew 5 calls, why should you not have a 6th one? Because they're being that terrible. And if you don't want fans to hate referees on the way we do, then give us some kind of recourse to go back to the referee and be like, you got that one wrong. You're going to screw the whole game up. And I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, Pete, I think this is actually a really interesting idea. The idea that you have unlimited challenges, but your cap is if the ref was right, then you get 2 fails. That may not be the best way to say it, but
I'd say you get a minimum of 2. And if you fail 1, then you don't get another one past 2. So if you fail your first one, you can have 1 more. But if you win your first 2, you just keep going until you fail 1.
That's not a bad one.
I think I like the idea. The only thing that I would be trepidatious about with it is that it would make the game take forever. Because now you're going to start calling, because now guys are going to start challenging a lot of stuff. But then again, if you only have 2, if you miss 1, then that helps streamline the process. And I will say this, in watching multiple sports kind of year round, everybody who's fans of every league always hates the referees. That's just kind of a universal thing between all sports. Like, part of it, I mean, and each league has their own issues. Like, honestly, the MLB's biggest problem is their referees are terrible at calling balls and strikes. Like,
right.
You've got referees calling strikes on something that's like 4 inches off the plate. And it's like, it's not even close. How do you call this? And I know in the minor league system, they have a challenge play where you can challenge the balls and strikes. And if you think, I mean, especially if it's really far off, the batter actually can call for it. And the umpire will call it as well. And it'll put it basically up on the Jumbotron. It'll show you where the strike zone was and where the pitch ended up being. And they adjust it accordingly. If the ref was right, and they move on. If he was wrong, it changes. And it takes like 5 seconds to do it. Like, it's a very quick, streamlined process. And I mean, they shown examples like where, a ref missed a pitch by, like I said, 3-4 inches. He challenged it and instantly saw, oh yeah, it was a ball by 4 inches. Now it's a walk instead of a strikeout. It was a full count. And now he walks instead of that. And like it makes it so much better. And yes, refs are human. They make mistakes. We all do. It's part of human nature. But I think the biggest problem that people have is that they feel like the refs aren't held accountable for their mistakes.
Right.
because like the NFL will, and I know the NBA does this too, but they'll put out like the 2-minute report in the NBA where, hey, at the certain points, like, look, these calls were wrong, they've been addressed, but it's like, what's addressed? What are they doing? Are they being sent down to the G League to, kind of get their chops up? No, they're just going to play on the next NBA game.
Right.
Do they lose money? We don't know. Like, we don't. That's the problem. Is it feels like there's no recourse against the referees for making bad calls.
Right, and when it
affects the game so much. Like you said, face mask on the wrong team, and I mean, and they were showing stuff from the Colts Steelers game when like the Colts linemen were literally like holding T.J. Watt on the field, and it didn't get called.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like there was just blatantly bad missed calls.
Right, and I mean, I can see your point about it making the game taking longer, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, you're gonna still be burning a timeout if you fail your challenge. Like, it's not just losing a challenge, and timeouts mean a lot in football. And also, like, a lot of these things don't have to go to the referee on the field. You can have someone in the replay booth looking at it. And no, I don't think they should be automatically reviewed because I honestly hate the automatic reviewing. I think that is actually a bad thing because, one, you can't throw a challenge flag if you think a touchdown wasn't a touchdown. And two, the referee just calls it a touchdown and says they'll sort it out on the replay, and half the time they don't replay it. And you should be able to throw a challenge flag there. There should never be a situation where you can't throw one. And then just don't have that same referee look at it, especially because his ego might get in the way. Like, just have somebody sitting in the back who already has the clips in front of him. He doesn't have to go run and look at anything. All he does is say, timeout on the field. They have 30 seconds to look at the play. They look at it. They go, here's your hold. You called it on the wrong person. It's on the other team. This is what the penalty should be. They relay it to the main guy. It's as long as a normal timeout.
That's something that's always bothered me about the ref review of plays they have in the NFL specifically, is they have to run over to the sideline, put their head in this damn cloth-covered booth thing. It's like, give them a tablet with a shoulder strap. Just let them go. And whenever they have to review a play, just pull out the tablet, look at the damn thing, and say, oh, I was wrong. Touchdown. Move on. Streamline. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of do that with basketball too, except, I mean, at least the difference with basketball is that you're not like buried in the sideline. Like you have the scores table right there, and that's where they have the replay booth. That's where they have the replay monitor and stuff right there. And they're in contact, at least with the G League, because ISU used to actually work for our G League team here in Fort Wayne. When they would challenge a play, they would actually be they would have one of the refs would have a headset, and they'd be talking with like the NBA offices for the replay about it as they're reviewing it. So like they're in communication with NBA headquarters and the refs and stuff back in New York, where all that's located, and they watch it a little bit to make sure they got the right call, and then kind of huddle up and kind of talk about it. Then they'd announce for the fans and let them know what's going on and the coaches and everything. And so like it depending on the call, it could take a little bit longer, but like most of the time it took you like at most between 2 and 5 minutes, maybe. Like at most it was like 5 minutes, and that's if it was like, if there was multiple things going on or there was something big, or they were kind of trying to figure out like if this was a flagrant foul or not and trying to get intention, kind of watching things back to see what was going on. So, but that didn't happen very often. Most of the time it's like, is it out? No? Cool. Move on. Like, so it can be streamlined. And I do think you're right that there are some things that need to be able to be, really everything should be able to be challenged at this point. And I think even there should be automatic replays, but you should still have the option to challenge too as well.
Yeah.
Like they should automatically check the touchdowns, but at the same time, they should be able to challenge it within 2 minutes too, and it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
So just for kind of more coverage on it. I mean, the worse it happens. They get the right call.
Right.
So
and like, yeah.
To reiterate Pete's point about the umpires never being punished for bad calls, since the in the Super Bowl era of the NFL, only 12 officials have ever been formally suspended by the NFL. 2 of them twice.
Damn.
MLB has not great records on this kind of stuff, but one umpire very recently got in trouble for gambling, but that's about it. NBA has Joey Crawford throwing out Tim Duncan and Tim Donaghy getting 5 months in prison for gambling. But yeah, not really any real accountability for bad calls.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not necessarily even saying like a guy needs to get fired or suspended for a bad call. I just want to be able to throw a challenge flag and be able to real time correct him. You know,
like I think the only thing that really bad that happens with the referees is that the ones that get the calls more correct work the playoffs, so they get paid more. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, like they still like there's no real reprimands. They keep their jobs. Nothing happens. At least with like baseball, like I think if the umpires fall below a certain standard, they should be relegated to minor leagues to get their stuff up and then be able to come back.
Same way you do
it. Same with players, exactly. It's the same thing. Like, I mean, the NBA could do that too with the G League system. I mean, you have G League teams. If the referees are bad in the NBA, send them to a few G League games and have them get their skills back. Have them, refocusing on something.
You think you'd get like
vacation unpaid for for a week or two? Bring up a couple refs out of the G League and let them run some games.
Yeah. You think you'd have like hype videos for referees coming down to the G League? Like everybody comes out like
if it was Joey Crawford, absolutely.
That'd be an interesting phenomenon in America. We're repping our referees.
Yeah. I mean,
man.
And part of that too is the referees union, because people don't talk about it, but the same way there's a players union, there's a referees union too for every sport. So I mean, the union protects their umpires the same way that the unions protect the players.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of what it's looking like at this point. But yeah, I totally agree that there should be some way to challenge any bad call, whether it be holding, face mask, whatever.
And as it turns out, the NFL actually has the most wide use of instant replay of any sport. Most other sports are very defined of what you can challenge. I mean, the NFL is too, but their list is much, much larger. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, but yeah, like their rules get confusing as shit. Like you can challenge the placement of a ball, but you can't challenge if it's a first down or some shit. Mm-hmm. And like, there's so many things that it's just like stupid little nuances that screw you out of a first down or a touchdown or a big play or anything like that. That drive me nuts.
But to close out the topic, I cannot let us end on a sad note, so I will end by saying that we do have some of our favorite referees. Dick Bavetta in the NBA, Dutch Reinhardt in the MLB, Phil Luckett, and Ed Hochuli, NFL. I will never forget, there was no foul on the play. It was not a hold. The defender was just overpowered. Ed Hochuli, you are a national treasure.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget about the greatest referee of all time, though, Earl Hebner.
Earl Hebner. Mm. Oh, God.
I feel bad.
I feel like I saw him recently for something stupid.
Probably. I'm sure he's at some sort of a convention or something with a lot of these other legend wrestlers and all the other stuff.
Yeah, and like popped up at an indie show or something like that. I don't know.
I'm sure. It wouldn't surprise me. Someone threw him $100 around where he lives somewhere.
He's doing birthday parties these days.
Hey, you know what? I mean, getting some of these old wrestling fans, they can make some money off that.
I mean, yeah.
Dude, I mean, they're still bringing out Hogan.
Yeah. Which baffles me. It's like, who cares about Hogan anymore? Guy hasn't been relevant in 12 years.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to go into that, but we'll move on. I think that's about all we got for this week, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about.
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for us for this week, guys. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We are also on Facebook, all of them at Geeks and Greeks. We hope to see you then. Like us, rate us, subscribe us. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Peace.